Have you ever heard of the term bamboo diplomacy? It was coined by Nguyen Phu Trong, the head of Vietnam's ruling Communist Party. And what does it mean? Bamboo diplomacy is a unique strategy, a tool of international politics, going back to the Ho Chi Minh era. It compares diplomacy to a Vietnamese bamboo, strong roots, but incredibly flexible branches. Branches that are now balancing both the US and China. This is a classic case of bamboo diplomacy. Chinese President Xi Jinping is set to visit Vietnam. The visit begins on December 12th. He will be there for 2 days. The two countries may be neighbors, but Xi has not visited Vietnam in the last 6 years. So this visit, is quite special. And there's a lot on the agenda, from bilateral relations to trade to maritime issues. China and Vietnam have a lot to discuss. And this visit has been in the works for quite some time now. Reports say Beijing sent multiple teams to Hanoi to sort out where Xi Jinping would stay. Then the diplomats started pouring in. Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Vietnam, apparently to finalize the joint statement. And now finally, it's time for Xi Jinping to jet in. The question is, why now? Xi's last visit to Vietnam was in 2017 for an Asia-Pacific summit, and he did not go there alone. There were other leaders there, like Donald Trump from the US and Vladimir Putin from Russia. But this time, he's going alone. 2 months after Biden came. You may remember this. Right after the G20 summit in New Delhi, US President Biden took a detour and went to Vietnam. It was a historic visit. Remember, the US and Vietnam once fought a war that America lost. And 50 years later, an American president landed there to sign deals. It was both symbolic and strategic. Vietnam is the new business hub for the world. Big American companies are shifting base there, shifting their supply chains to Vietnam. The likes of Dell, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. Now, this is all part of the de-risking or decoupling from China. Vietnam is benefiting. Then there is the market for military equipment. The US wants to wean Hanoi off Moscow. It wants to sell them weapons. Plus, Vietnam has elevated its ties with Washington. They now have a comprehensive strategic partnership. This places the US at par with China, and it has left Beijing worried. So 2 months after Biden's visit, here we are. Xi Jinping is headed to Hanoi, and on the agenda is showing who has the upper hand. China is Vietnam's largest trading partner, a vital source of imports for their manufacturing sector. China and Hong Kong's investments in Vietnam have also boomed this year, rising to $8.2 billion till November. It's double of what it was last year, $8.2 billion. And this makes China the biggest investor in Vietnam. So what Biden did with words, Xi plans to do with money. And he does have the edge here. In 2023, this year, US investment to Vietnam fell to $0.5 billion, $500 million. This is from $0.7 billion in 2022. So there is a fall this year. The US is now the 10th largest investor in Vietnam. So in terms of money, Xi Jinping is winning the race. But it's not just about money, is it? It's also about old wounds. Vietnam's relations with China are complicated, largely thanks to the South China Sea. In 1974, they fought a brief war over the Paracel Islands. In 1988, another skirmish over the Spratly Islands. And these areas are still disputed. Plus, there are strong anti-China sentiments among the people. It has often led to protests. So Xi Jinping may bring the money, but will that win him friends? Well, this is Vietnam. They chose to forget the war and welcome Joe Biden. They could do the same for China. All of it is part of their bamboo diplomacy. Hanoi has two superpowers jostling for influence. It seems the bamboo balancing is already paying off.